Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Modern and Modest with myself, Noshina Ghani, from Durban to you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Modern and Modest. Yes, season 3 with myself, Noshina Ghani, and a very interesting guest on our show today, a name that you would have heard before. So today with us we have Sumaya Riaz Jamal. Assalamu alaikum Sumaya, and welcome to Modern and Modest.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Shukran so much for having me.
Such a pleasure having you on our show. So Sumaya, just reading up a little bit about you and researching, I understand that you're a psychology student and actively involved in media as well, and a bit of the creative side with the henna artist. So tell us when this has all started out for you, and you know, just when we think about psychology, media, henna, there's always, there seems to be quite a big gap between the two. I mean, how do you fit this in, and how did this start? And maybe just share with who you are as a person.
Okay. Alhamdulillah. You know, when I often get asked the question, who is Sumaya Jamal, I feel that it's a tough question to answer, honestly, because like you mentioned, there's a lot of gaps between what I do.
Yes.
But alhamdulillah, I think having the upbringing that I had and having such you know, strong parents who worked very hard in the community, and I feel that that is the part of where you know, working in NGOs and volunteering came about. So my upbringing was very much, you know, that was volunteering, helping people out. Our holidays were just filled with doing activities, you know, with helping the underprivileged rather than having holidays per se. So alhamdulillah. And with regards to henna, that was just something that I love henna personally, so it was just something that I felt that was my creative side. So whenever I felt stressed or if I'm upset, I just often used to just take a cone, or even in my school books, a lot of them you just find these flowers and paisleys just drawn across. And so that's when, you know, that developed, alhamdulillah. And media was not something I ever thought I'd get into. And I think many people think because of the, you know, the influence of my parents and of my dad and my brother that I would actually get into media. But prior to this, I wasn't someone that ever thought that I'd get into media, but alhamdulillah, I, you know, am a radio presenter for the past 6 years. So, yeah.
So, what do you think was your inspiration into tapping into media? I mean, 6 years is a long time, and you seem to be enjoying it as well.
I was actually 16 at the time, and it was just soon after my dad's demise that Sabira Sheikh Yusuf, she was a presenter at Al-Ansar and a very close friend of mine. And she came through to me and she said, you know what, I want you to keep up your dad's legacy. And I also felt that way. Because losing him through a battle of cancer was very difficult for me, and I was just 16, like I mentioned. And so I thought, okay, she said, get into radio. At first I was apprehensive, and I thought to myself, will I ever be able to do this? Because I was a person, actually much to the shock of many people, I was very afraid of speaking and being in front of people. But alhamdulillah, I think through the practice of you know, being on radio, and as my time on radio evolved and increased, I became much more confident, and now radio is something that's a part of me, and I don't think I'd ever leave it for anything.
So Sumaya, being the daughter of the late Mr. Riaz Jamal and the sister of popular Naz Jam, I mean, everybody knows him in that way, how has this had an impact in your life? What role has this played for you?
I think carrying my dad's name is something that's huge, you know, for me, and I feel that it's a difficult path for me to go on because no one can match up to my dad's status, alhamdulillah. But my dad, like I mentioned at the, you know, at the beginning, the upbringing that he had, you know, brought us up with, both my mom and my dad, because they were so involved in the community work, they instilled this in us. And I remember as a little kid, you know, my dad was with the Radio Al-Ansar, and often when they used to be broadcasting, my mom used to take me in a little car seat, and she'd tell me not to cry, so I'd cry, but no sound would come out of my mouth.
So Sumaya, with the media going on for you and keeping up your dad's legacy as such, what got you into studying psychology?
Okay, well, I initially had started off at UKZN campus studying media and marketing. So that was my first year, and I thought that this is something that I thoroughly enjoy because I was in radio, and I thought, okay, this is the field I want to go into. But you know, the thing is that when you're actually studying something, the theory of it compared to the practical is so different. And for me, I found that like I wasn't enjoying it as much as I was actually enjoying the practical of actually being on radio. And so I had chosen psychology as an elective throughout the year. So I thought that, okay, maybe psychology is the way for me to go, and I gave it a try. And alhamdulillah, I'm really thoroughly enjoying it. And what I enjoy most about psychology is, firstly, I love being around people. I love understanding people, the way they behave, and the connection between their mind and their behavior and their actions, and just it's really something that intrigues me. So for me, psychology is something I want to definitely make a career out of, and perhaps have my radio as something on the side, or even connect the two. I know that can be done as well.
I guess being involved with community and being a people's person, I can understand why you'd want to understand their thinking or their emotions or their moods and so forth with psychology. So how long is this going to take for you to, inshallah, one day qualify as a psychologist?
Psychologists, I think if you speak to anyone studying psychology, they tell you it's a long road. So you first have to get your degree, then your honors, and once you even get your degree, you're known as a counselor, not even a psychologist yet. And you have to go to honors, masters, and doctorate, and then once you're done with that, you're known as a psychologist. So it's a long road, and I'm in it for the long run, inshallah. I'm excited, but there's also something that I want to get into is Islamic psychology, because often I know you find Muslim psychologists, but many of them don't have the understanding of Islamic psychology and taking in, from the Sunnah of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and teachings from Islam into psychology, and that also is something that fascinates me. So hopefully, inshallah, I'm going to look at courses that can be done. I know there's a lot offered overseas rather than in our country, unfortunately, but yeah, that's also something.
I think that point you mentioned about doing Islamic psychology is really much needed in our community, because you find that we all have day-to-day issues, and we all feel that we need to go and seek professional help or advice, but you need someone to understand you as a Muslim, our deen, how to understand our way of life, our thinking. So I guess Islamic psychology would be great to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this also came for me from my past experiences. I've visited psychologists before, and many of them were not Muslim. And the advice that I received was, as you mentioned, not in connection with me being a Muslim and following Islam. And I feel that this is definitely something needed, because a lot more people are now accepting towards going to a psychologist, seeking help from a counselor. And so if they're allowing themselves to be a part of this, then it needs to be something that's going to be they're going to have to be satisfied with the treatment that they're receiving, and of course something to be accordance to Islam and being accordance to them their belief system.
So from media to psychology, and now we're going right to the other end of things with being a henna artist and being so creative. I suppose it started out as a hobby. Is that something you've pursued into a business? Where are you at with your henna application?
My henna journey actually started with my sister, my elder sister. She would do henna. She was a henna artist. And then she got married and she moved away to the UK. And I couldn't handle my bare hands because my hands were constantly, she'd be fiddling around, new patterns on my hands, and I loved it. And so the one day I just took a cone and I started playing around, and from there it just developed into something, and I do it for my nieces and then their friends and my cousins and people that I knew. And alhamdulillah, from there it sparked into into a business. And right now it's like anything and anyone I can get my hands on would have their hands decorated with henna. And like I mentioned also, it's something that I use as a stress reliever. It's something that brings out my creative side. So if I had a busy day, or if I've seen something, like especially when I work with volunteer organizations, and if I go out onto the field for that particular day and I see something that is really tear-jerking, and I feel upset about that, but there's only so much you can do as well. I take off my henna. My mom often knows that if I'm sitting and doing henna, then she knows, okay, she had a bad day, she's stressed out. But yeah, alhamdulillah. I also, in terms of my henna business, I hope to, inshallah, take it to the next level, like decorating henna items. So I'm sure many people have seen like henna candles, there's henna plates, so and even henna cakes. So inshallah, hopefully, that's the next step. Yeah.
We'll be taking a quick ad break, and when we're back, we'll be chatting more to Sumaya Riaz Jamal. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to Modern and Modest. With me, we have Sumaya Riaz Jamal. So Sumaya, with you being involved with so many things like your psychology, your media, your henna, your focus right now, from my understanding, is a lot with your media. You've just joined a platform called Accidental Muslims. So the name Accidental Muslims keeps my mind boggling. I'm trying to understand what it's all about, and how did you come up with this name, and what is this platform related to?
Okay, alhamdulillah. AccidentalMuslims.com was founded by Khalil Alaka and Zahir Parker in Cape Town. So these two guys, I am really amazed by this, initiative that they have. It's basically a platform where they encourage people to live with purpose. And the name is inspired by, we're all born Muslim, and so we take that for granted, and hence Accidental Muslims.
Okay.
And it basically, this platform allows people to live with purpose. So we find inspirational Muslims within the community. So we have heading the Durban branch, there's one in Johannesburg, and there's one in Cape Town. So we try to find these inspirational Muslims within the community who can inspire people to live with purpose. It's basically, encouraging people that, what, these people started off just where you are, and this is how much they have achieved with hard work, determination, and of course, dua to Allah. So this is basically what Accidental Muslims is all about. So we do podcast interviews that go up onto our website. We host meetups, and basically these people who we interview, so these inspirational people who we chat to, they come and chat to a live audience, and they speak to us. It's a semi-formal type of an event where we have a semi-formal program that happens. So we try to speak to people of all races, all Muslims of all races, and get to know exactly about them and their background and how they got here. And this will then encourage the people who attend the meetup to live with purpose. We then allow them to have a chance to network and speak to other people, because I find that this is something that's lacking in the Muslim community, allowing people to network. So a business person and a person running an NGO can network, meet each other, and wonderful things can happen from there. And then of course we have conferences which we try to host once a year in each province, and so that's something that we're currently working on.
So how long have you been involved with this platform here in Durban?
Well, my brother Nazir had brought it down to Durban. I think it was about 2 years back, and alhamdulillah, for the past year I've been handling Accidental Muslims here in Durban.
Okay. You chatted now about NGOs, and I know that you're very much a community person and you volunteer to get involved with these NGOs. Can you tell us more about your involvement? What are you currently involved in, and just more about what you do?
So I assist the Al-Ansar Cancer Support Group in basically handling their social media and in other types of designing if they need any assistance there. There's also a widows and divorcees group that's recently up and coming. I try to help them as well with the admin type of work. But I also am involved with the Islamic Dawah movement, and that's also an amazing organization doing amazing work in making the translating the Quran into different languages. They have their own centers and masjids, so I try my best to help them as well. And any other NGO that's doing field work, whether it's sandwich runs or whether it's going to orphanages, if I have the time and the strength, then I try my best to assist them. And then of course there's one which is very close to my heart, and that is Penny Appeal. And they just recently have come to South Africa, and they have this amazing volunteer wing called Team Orange. So because Penny Appeal is in the UK prior to this, and I've always been following them, and they really hope to revolutionize the idea of volunteering. So the volunteers do amazing activities just to raise funds for Palestine, or to raise funds for Syria, or to raise funds just to simply help perhaps a school that's underprivileged. So I'm really excited about and to see what's in store with regards to Penny Appeal and Team Orange.
So talking about Palestine, I've just recently discovered that are you the only individual or one of few people that have volunteered to be participating in the Palestine Marathon? What is this all about, and how would someone get involved in this?
Okay, so the Palestine Marathon is something that will be taking place, inshallah, in March this year. It happens every year, and people from all over the world, all religions, all cultures, all races, they're all welcome to take part in this race. It's through the streets of Bethlehem. So it's something absolutely beautiful to witness, to run across, the big wall that's there in Palestine. But I'm going with Penny Appeal, inshallah, for this. So they are basically organizing this. And we're about 6 of us who are traveling with Penny Appeal to Palestine, inshallah. Penny Appeal is this organization that's basically they've been in the industry for the past 10 years in UK, and now they've come to South Africa. And they do this Feed Our World campaign, and hence this Palestine marathon, or this Palestine trip, is also part of that, because we're raising funds to take Lila or Zakah, so that we can purchase hampers from the locals there, and so that they're able to then distribute it to the refugees in the refugee camps. So I'm really excited about this trip, and I know it's going to be something absolutely amazing. It's something on my bucket list, and I always say that if I ever have to visit Palestine, I want to make a difference to at least one person's life. And alhamdulillah, through this I'm able to, hopefully inshallah, through the support and contribution of everyone, we're able to make a difference to many people's lives.
So Sumaya, coming back to you starting out at such a young, tender age, you've been involved in quite a bit, been such an inspirational little one and grown into, alhamdulillah, a beautiful Muslimah that's still so involved in community work. And I can see it all over you. And I mean, you speak about it, you speak with such passion, and you must sleep so restfully at night because it's such rewarding work that you're doing, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
So, coming back to you being involved in community and rewarding, I mean, it must be very rewarding for you to be out there and assisting NGOs. Where do you see yourself as an individual? I mean, I know professionally you're studying psychology, and I think your passion lies in media and community work. But where do you see yourself in the near future?
Well, there's lots of facets of my life. So in different ways, I see myself, to be, inshallah, hopefully a psychologist, inshallah, one day, hopefully finish my psychology up to my doctorate, inshallah. I also hope to, inshallah, try to assist communities, but not only limited to South Africa, hopefully even overseas, inshallah. I see myself assisting those there in need. And of course, trying to take accidental Muslims to a totally different level. And of course, keeping my volunteering there as well, and my henna. So everything.
So just before we wrap up our show with you, what message can you share with our viewers? I mean, my first question to you would be time management. I'd like to take from you, how do you manage all of this? So what message could you give our Muslim youth, and perhaps also share with them that, sometimes we feel that there's just that much we can do in a day, but I think if you manage it well and you're proof of that if you have time management, then you can actually achieve far more.
Absolutely. I think, the inspiration for me doing so much comes from my dad. He'd always say, a Muslim never rests. And that was his motto, and that's exactly how he lived with it. No matter what the circumstances, he has to do this, and, he goes out and he does it no matter how tired he was. And that's the same, with me. I try to have the same, vibe and energy. But being a millennial, we often get very tired and lazy sometimes. But, time management, that's the thing about time. And, it's an amana to us also at the end of the day, because we're going to be questioned about every single second that we spend here. So I try my best to, keep myself busy, like I said. But something else that I want to touch on quickly before, I get to time management is that I find that with a lot of younger, the younger generation, they struggle to find themselves. They struggle to find who they are and struggle to find their purpose in life. I mean, okay, self-discovery is this long journey. It's may take you your entire life to find out who you are and things like that. But finding your purpose is something that I really am so passionate about. I try to share this with as many people as I possibly can, is really delve into what makes you happy and stick with that, because I feel if you find your purpose and if your purpose lies in assisting people, for example, once you start doing that, you feel the sense of contentment and peace within yourself, and then there's no room for you to feel depressed or upset or be bored even, because there's so many things going on around yourself. So inshallah, I hope that this is just some little advice that I can share. But when it comes to time management, something which I also am still on that journey of trying to find out what works best for me. But I feel having a schedule and sticking to it, and having a diary and writing down exactly, what needs to be done at the specific time, having deadlines, making sure you meet them. And I know it gets frustrating for myself as well to keep writing down things constantly. But we have great phones these days, and so make use of apps that they are available and to-do lists, and constantly have that, all the time. So that's what I basically use to keep myself and making sure that I'm in check all the time.
Oh, that was very inspiring for myself as well. And thank you so much for being on Modern and Modest, and all the best on your marathon. And inshallah, I'm hoping more individuals could join, inshallah, in years to come. Inshallah. And we could maybe experience everything that you're currently going through. I mean, the enthusiasm, the excitement, and it must be very rewarding.
Shukran so much for having me here.
Okay, we'll be taking a quick ad break, and after the ad break, we'll be having a very interesting guest on our show. Welcome back to Modern and Modest, and with me today we have a mum and a daughter team. We've got Nasreen Mullah and Rihanna Mullah. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Modern and Modest.
Wa alaikum salam.
So before we get into what the two of you do as a team, maybe Nasreen, you can introduce mum to the show for us, and then Auntie Rihanna, you can tell us more about Nasreen.
Oh, this is my mum, Rihanna, and she is my everything. We originally from Stanger, and we come from a family of 4. There's 4 of us, and she's brought us up singly. So, I mean, single-handedly, and yeah, she's my everything.
Okay, Nasreen, maybe you can tell us more about Nasreen.
Nasreen, being my only daughter, is my motivation and my strength, and we work very well as a mother and daughter team, and that's how collaboration came about.
Okay, so that was my next question to you. So being a mum and a daughter team, and I guess being the only daughter plays a huge role in this. So you both have started out an amazing business together, and the name says it all, collaboration. So maybe Nasreen, you can give me some background and some insight as to how did collaboration actually start out? When did this all begin for you?
I actually think Mum would be able to answer that question better.
Okay.
Okay. In 1998, Nasreen decided that she wants to join art classes, and so I accompanied her, and we went to an artist, and the artist looked at me and she says, "And what about you?" So I also joined in with Nasreen, and that's how we started. And then Nasreen left midway, what she wanted to learn, she learned, and then I continued with the art, learning the different media and the different textures and the different mediums of painting and things like that.
Okay, so at the time when you joined the art class, did you have any idea that you had such great creativity behind you?
I really didn't know that, and the artist brought that out in me, you know. Okay. So it was very nice. And
so Nasreen, back to you. What prompted you to want to do art?
You know, I just finished matric and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So, and I figured creativity ran somewhere in our family lines. So I just, I like took Mum along as company, and that's how it actually started. And then everybody eventually told us, why don't you like sell? And at that time, nobody was really doing much art, or Islamic art, should I say. And that's how it all began. And we actually started, believe it or not, from flea markets. Mum and I used to go, and we started off like selling little items that we used to make, you know, with just a little bit of Islamic calligraphy, which I specialize in. And Mum does more of like the arty things, and that's how it's collaboration, because we collaborate, you know, on that. Yeah.
So was this a difficult process for you? I mean, getting into the artistic world, starting up with Islamic painting. I mean, back then there was no such thing as Islamic painting, and you were one of the few that came up with it. Was this process difficult?
It actually was quite welcomed, because you must know our people hadn't been open to that yet. It was very traditional art. Do you know, I don't know if you remember like those gold and brass arts that our grandparents still have at their houses. Yeah, so we went into the market with a whole more modern sort of art. So yeah, it was quite welcomed, and alhamdulillah, we've grown since then.
So I think what makes it interesting is that you customize it. It's now become, I'm sure you work with interior decorators where it's your final touches in your room, and you're adding a bit of art and Islamic calligraphy at the same time. So Auntie Rihanna, back to you. Nasreen mentioned that is her speciality with the Islamic calligraphy. Can you tell us more about what is it that you do? How do you come up with these designs, or playing with colors and putting them together?
I actually ventured out more in mixed media, which gives you a whole 3D look, and the different colors, and I go into homes and see what the colors, what's their flair, what they likes, dislikes, and I work around those things to make up a piece and to do the different textures and the different colors, because our modern homes got lovely colors now, so I try and introduce those colors into the work, which makes it more exciting.
How long does a piece like this take you to perhaps prepare? I'm sure you've got to take into consideration the colors, the design, and then eventually the prep. So, so from start to end, what timeline are we looking at?
I can't really give you a fixed time. Sometimes it can take me up to 6 months. I do portion at a time, and I build up and work from there like that. So it's all about the building, and then, you know, and I try and, when I'm quite satisfied with a piece, then I'll put it on the market. Yes.
And then our other speciality is framing. So the framing itself is also an art, that takes up to about 2 weeks per piece to do. So it's like all, you know, if you look at that piece, it's like the borders, the natural woods that go into it. It depends on the client's house and how you're going to blend it in. Then we get decorators who come to us and ask us to commission pieces. So you must know they're coming with a blank swatch or a drawing, and then you making it according to what they have or according to what the client requires.
Okay.
So framing is also a speciality on its own.
Now, you know, painting and putting colors together surely comes with, you know, a lot of creativity. Would you say that there's specific times that you choose to do these pieces? Because surely you have to have the right energy levels, the right mindset in order to focus. So, Angelina, when is the best time for you? When do you actually work and do these?
I can just be inspired by even a bird and its beautiful colors. And maybe if I go out to exhibitions and things like that and see the different colors and the different textures, and that's how I just at any time really.
But I think Mum works best late at night when there's no doorbell and there's no phone calls and it's just calm.
I do prefer working then.
Okay, so Nasreen, you know, as time goes along, things evolve, fashion evolves, homes evolve. You know, maybe a few years ago, people were going with very much of that chrome and silver look, I think, very cold look, and then now we find people have moved back into that warmth. So with regards to art, do you find this has evolved over time?
Yes, definitely. People have gone more into warmth, as you said. The chrome in that is like so 90s now. But there's still people who do request that. But it's more like that washed wood looks, which are in more of the charcoals, more of like the modern contemporary look that's in.
So as an artist, surely you have to have quite a bit of, what could I say, the tools to get to prepare something like this. So can you share with our viewers, what do you work with? What makes up your kit?
I think Mum can answer that.
Yeah. Well, I work a lot with textures like plasters and fabrics and beads, and the different paint techniques and the different mixing of paints and different colors to get the actual shades which I want. Yeah.
Because it's not just a paint, you know, like just paint it on and leave it. It needs like constant work.
Textures.
Yeah, and then it takes drying time as well. So there's a lot that goes into like the actual raw piece before you give it to frame or something.
Then you're completely satisfied. And then we're going in a lot for these natural woods and things like that.
I guess it doesn't date, would never date.
No, and we try and keep it contemporary so that in 20 years the piece still looks fine. You can take it and place it anywhere else and it would kind of just go.
Okay. Have you ever thought of signing off your artwork, like at the end of your piece?
Yes,
yes.
If you look carefully, there's a small little sign at the bottom. Mum doesn't like signing her name in big, so you just look for her name
discreetly. Yeah.
Okay, so Nasreen, being involved in art and you've grown over the years, have you ever considered, or do you offer any workshops for those individuals that want to perhaps become as artistic as Mum and you?
Currently, no, Sheena, there's no time, honestly, but in the future we'd look at giving a few classes or maybe helping people, you know, get onto the artistic field, but right now, no, not at the moment.
So from what I've learned, you do framing, you specialize in Islamic calligraphy and your frames, but I know that you also make up little pieces for a side table or a dining table. Can you tell us more about these pieces? What do they comprise of?
Yes, we do a lot of ornaments. We do that range mainly for decorators and stuff like that. People request specific colors and then we make up according to orders as well. Very different, and we only do one of a kind. So what you have, nobody else would have. So that keeps like that uniqueness of the whole thing.
So do you
even the frames also we keep them unique? Yes, all of it's just exclusive. It's just one, and that's it.
Customized per client.
Yes, that's
and you're not necessarily going to get a repeat.
No mass production.
Okay. So do you work together when you do your paintings, or does mum finish a phase and then hand it over to you to perhaps complete? How do the two of you work?
We do that quite often, and I leave most of the artwork to mum because I really don't have a lot of time, because I'm the marketing manager behind this as well. So and then we collaborate.
Comes in now and then and checks up. And,
and then I tell her I'm not happy with this, or I don't think, or why don't you add this color in, and that's how we collaborate together. Yeah.
So Achirana, you mentioned that you could just perhaps see a bird and that inspires you to paint. So how often do you feel that you want to sit and do a piece of art, or what inspires you or motivates you? Is it something you only do on request, or is it something you just do out of love for art or just being creative? What prompts you to paint?
Okay. When you look at the sea and you look at Allah Ta'ala's, look at nature itself, there's such lovely, beautiful colors, and the sea is so calming, and the greenery around us. Allah has just blessed me with such bounties, and that puts me to paint.
So are you saying, like, if it's a Sunday morning and you decide to take a walk on the beach, is that inspiration for you to now ink down that evening? Like Nasreen
also
mentioned,
calming,
like
yeah.
Yes, definitely.
So do you find that's a way of de-stressing as well?
Oh yes, definitely, most definitely.
Okay.
It's very nice.
So Nasreen, coming
It's
back,
very calming.
I'm sure. Coming back to, is your work calming? I'm sure calligraphy is quite stressful. To
No,
ensure
actually,
that you get it
yeah,
done
it's
in a certain way.
when you're a perfectionist, yes, it is quite stressful, but it's actually very calming while you're doing it. And because, I mean, you know that like whoever reads it will be rewarded. So there's a lot that goes into it, you know, and it has to be like perfect. So I've got to get it proofread as well.
So Anjana, would you say, you know, we know that when a person looks at a piece of art, there's always a story behind that. Do you find that depending on what you choose to paint, whether it's the ocean or the greenery around you, is there any type of story behind each piece that you paint?
Yes, most definitely.
Okay, we'll be taking a quick ad break, and when we're back, we'll be chatting more to Rehana Mullah and Nasreen Mullah. Welcome back to Modern and Modest, and with me we have a mum and daughter team, a very creative team. So welcome back, Auntie Rehana and Nasreen Mullah. So Nasreen, with artists, we know that successful artists at some point in their career, and I think it's a huge achievement when you can actually take your piece and put it up in a gallery. Have you gotten to that yet?
Yes, I have quite a few of my pieces hanging in different galleries. As I told you, I work with decorators, so lots of them have my stuff in their showrooms, and I have a gallery and a factory that I work from as well, so my stuff is displayed there. And I do Joburg and Cape Town as well. Yeah.
So your art isn't just Durban, you have ventured out of Durban as well?
Yes. And we also get lots of clients or people that come from overseas and buy gifts to take back, or take back art. So yeah, we do send stuff overseas.
So Rehana, you being the very creative artist when it comes to textures and shades and so forth, what do you think, apart from decorative purposes for art, what more can an artist do? I mean, you've expanded with not just art, but you've gone into the complete framing, then you've made ornaments. Is there any more that you can add on when it comes to art?
The sky's the limit. You can just create, and
there's no fixed thing in art. You can
I guess because it's creative.
Yeah.
Okay, and would you find that being an artist is a viable business for an individual that decides they want to now take up art lessons and start up something similarly to what you've done? Is it a viable venture?
Yes, the market is quite great out there, and it's all depends on your passion, and you can do anything that you really want to.
So, you know, you mentioned now that the market is out there. Do you find that we are on par with artists globally? Do you think South African artists are growing as much as the artists abroad?
Yes, for sure. Most definitely. We've come a long way, I think. So we have.
And have you visited any exhibitions out of the country, Auntie Johanna?
We've been to a few in Dubai and overseas, we've seen a few, and galleries, and you have to keep up with the trends overseas as well. So and then you get books and stuff that they send you, so keep up with the trends.
So Auntie Johanna, traveling abroad and visiting these exhibitions, Nasreen, do you find that when you are traveling and you attend these exhibitions, do you bring any type of inspiration from abroad into the pieces that you do back home?
Yes. Lots of the time. You have to keep up with the trends again. Art is quite modern and trendy, so yeah.
And I think it also would give you a bit of a change or a flair to the pieces that you currently
working on.
So
you just can add
a little bit different. Yeah,
definitely.
And with everything evolving with time, you find fashion, even food, and art is being creative. Is there any new type of art that's trending at the moment?
Yes, we have the pouring medium and the resin work that's very in at the moment, which I want to go into, which is a bit tricky, but inshallah I'll get there. And
did you say resin work?
Yes,
so Nasreen, you can share with us what is resin work?
Resin work is it's a type of medium that you pour, and it gives you almost that glassy look. Okay. So, and then you can add metallics are really big at the moment. So you can add metallics to it, and I actually want to bring it in with a little bit of calligraphy, because now you're just getting like the resin art, but it would be nice to incorporate it in an Islamic aspect, you know, bring in some sort of calligraphy with the resin. So that's where we're headed, inshallah.
So would we be expecting to see something different by the end of 2019?
Inshallah, most definitely.
So Nasreen, with all the art that you and Mom have done together in all this time, which would you say is your favorite piece of art to work on?
Oh, that's a difficult one, but I think the 99 names, most definitely. That's the one that's appreciated the most, takes the most amount of time to do, and those are our favorites. Mom and I actually feel very sad to part with one of those. So definitely.
So would you say that is your speciality?
Yes, most definitely. That's what I'm passionate about. It takes me a long time to work on a particular piece because a lot of time and effort goes into it. And the framing itself also is a lot. So 99 names for sure, hands down, is a winner.
Okay, and Auntie Johanna, back to you. With your colors and the type of art that you put together, what has been your favorite piece thus far?
Thank you for asking me that question. This is one of my favorite pieces, which I feel very difficult to part with. This was actually inspired me. It is watercolors done in Alhambra. It's a palace on a hill overlooking Granada, and it was a last stronghold of the Muslim king. And the meaning of this was, no one higher except Allah. And that touched my heart, and I felt it's so special.
It has so much of meaning.
So much of...
Okay, so art definitely does have a story to tell.
Yes, it does. It does.
And Nasreen, for you, I know that you have a very creative mindset with Mom doing the painting and you Islamic calligraphy. But apart from Islamic calligraphy, what other specialities do you bring to collaboration?
Oh, I'm the work behind the scenes, I think, because Mom does the art and I do everything else. So I'm on the road a lot. I go out to clients and see what they require and keep up with the trends, visit the shops, see what's trending, the colors, and keep Mom updated as well. So,
but is there any other type of art that you bring to this, like
yes,
apart from painting?
Yes, I do a lot of mirrors are one of my other specialities, And if you notice now, the trends are a lot with laser cutting. So not only laser cutting wood, before it was laser cutting steel, but now it's more into wood, and we laser cut mirrors as well. Very modern take on the mirrors and the art as well. So yeah, I'm into a lot of that. So I do laser cutting of calligraphy as well onto different mediums, depends on what you want. Wood, art, steel, any sort of medium basically it can be done on.
Do you find that very tricky when it comes to Islamic calligraphy, having to laser that?
Yes, that is. It takes a lot, and to get the ayat to the specifics, especially with dimensions, sizes, there's a lot that goes into it.
So when we look at mirror, just being a mirror on the wall, there's a lot that...
No, yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot that goes on behind the mirrors.
So do you plan on maybe doing more with your art? What do you plan on doing with, I mean, you spoke about the resin course, and you've now ventured from Islamic calligraphy to mirrors. Is there anything else that you want to add on to what you currently do? How about clothing? Have you ever considered making artistic clothing?
Not yet, but there's always a market for things, so we're keeping our options open.
So Nasreen, for upcoming artists like yourself, what advice or tips can you share with our viewers or those artists that are looking to be like you?
Follow your heart, follow your passion. The sky's the limit. You can do anything that you want to. Do as much courses as you can. Educate yourself, inspire yourself.
Okay, and Johanna, for you?
You're never too old to learn, and you can always, it's never too late. You can always start and follow your heart. As Nasreen says, follow your heart.
Yeah, so I guess you would never have thought that you would one day be an artist.
Definitely.
Your career found you, you could say.
Definitely, my career found me. Okay.
So, Nasreen, if viewers want to get in touch with you, or they want to view the pieces that you put together, how can we get to view what you do?
Oh, no, Sheena, I'm on most social media platforms. And you can find me via the decorators as well. I'd give you my details also, and you're free to contact me, and I'll give you a code and make up whatever you require or whatever you need.
Okay, so that was Nasreen and Rihanna Mullah, a beautiful team together. I mean, what better than a mom and daughter collaboration? And if you need to view what this team puts together, then we will share those details, and you can go through and have a look at the pieces. I'm sure they're going to be very interesting pieces to look at. I'm actually quite interested in looking at the mirror that you just spoke about now. So thank you for watching Modern and Modest. That was myself, Noshina Ghani, with Rihanna Mullah and Nasreen Mullah. Until next week, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.